Welcome to Let's Talk Sport and Sports Keeler for this Champions League quarter-final second leg preview between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur, taking place at the Etihad on Wednesday night. Of course, the first leg finishing with a victory for Tottenham, surprise, surprise, getting themselves ahead. It was 1-0, I think it was. I can't find the scoreline on my team sheet thing that I got here. But the big one for Tottenham will be that Harry Kane is missing from this action. He won't be able to play in this one, and it'll be interesting to see how Tottenham are able to survive without him. Manchester City, on the other hand, on the flip side, don't really have many injury concerns, just maybe for being Fernandinho, not starting the game and being brought into the game gradually later on in case that they need, and they've managed to survive without him so far. Of course, getting a great victory against Crystal Palace at the weekend, 3-1. Raheem Sterling banging a brace in that one there. Manchester City, Luke, looking like they potentially could make a couple of changes because of this being a must-win game. And when you've got resources like Manchester City, you've got players like Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and Gabriel Jesus that could come into the squad and start. Do you see City turning this tie around against Tottenham, who are going to be having to play this game without their best goal scorer?
I think City have the quality to turn it around, but Pep in the Champions League has been tinkering, especially in the first leg. Left De Bruyne and Sané on the bench, left till the 88th minute to bring them both on. And I don't know whether or not Pep is still relieving the ghosts of last year against Liverpool, where Liverpool absolutely took him apart at Anfield and then took him apart at the Etihad. I don't know whether or not that's still playing on Pep's mind, because that's sort of, in my eyes, it sort of changed his team selection. He went, in my eyes, I thought he went quite defensive against Spurs. He sort of sat in, let Spurs come on to them, instead of City being the City we see in the Premier League, which is keep the ball, dominate, press the opposition. And I don't know what Pep's going to do this time, to be honest. He's been a bit of a tink man in the Champions League, and his record, he's not made it. He's not won the competition since he beat United at Wembley back in 2011. And that's the last time he's got to a Champions League final. And especially with the squads that he's had, the money he's spent, he's sort of underachieved a lot. And especially City have got an open checkbook. If he wants any player in the world, he will pretty much get them. But for me, City need players who have won the Champions League. Because in that squad, no one's won the Champions League. No one knows what it takes to win the Champions League. Apart from Danilo, is probably the only one that's actually won the Champions League in that City team. And I think that is very concerning for a team that wants to push on for the quadruple. It's all good winning the Premier League and winning the Carabao Cup, FA Cups, and all the domestic domestic trophies. But if you want to win the European competition, you need to have European experience. And it's similar to PSG. PSG has spent all the money on players, but they have very few players that have actually won the top European trophy. And sort of Pep needs to put the ghosts of Anfield behind him and go back to the way they play in the Premier League.
Yeah, and the way that they did play in the Premier League against Tottenham last season when they visited the Etihad was an emphatic 4-1 victory. So they could potentially look from that result and bring that into their game. They've won their last 12 home matches as well. And, despite the Champions League form being away against Guardiola, I think they could be quite confident coming into this game. On the flip side, though, Tottenham, they had the great victory against Huddersfield at the weekend, but that's Huddersfield. This is Manchester City. Two completely different teams in terms of quality. Lucas Moura will be pushing for a starting spot, and Son as well, in order to replace Harry Kane and the goal scoring that he provides. Do you think either one of those two, either Son or Lucas Moura, could be a threat for Manchester City in this game?
Yes, I think I'd imagine they'd start them both up front together, because obviously the Spurs team we saw against Huddersfield will not be the Spurs team that we'll see against City. Obviously, you'll see Trippier back in, you'll probably see Dele Alli come back in. You'd imagine that they'd go, I don't know whether or not the Poch will go with a 3 at the back with Vertonghen and Sanchez and Alderweireld, or whether or not he'll go with a 4. It just depends on how he wants Spurs to play. But I think I think Spurs have got a really, really good chance of beating City here. Because City in the Champions League, obviously they've been imperious in the league, but there's something about City in the Champions League that just reminds you of PSG in the Champions League. It's like domestically they're crushing it, but when it gets to the European stage, like City have not got to a Champions League semi since Pellegrini took them there, and Pep's only managed to get to the quarters. And obviously last season lost to Liverpool. The season before that they lost to that Monaco team. But I do. My only problem with Spurs is going to be that midfield. But yet again, I think we've all been saying it throughout the year. Like, how are you going to get top four and compete in the Champions League when your central midfield options are Winks, Sissoko, Dyer, Skip, Wanyama, Dembele left in January to go to China, and then Dele Alli. So, yeah, but I'd imagine I really want Spurs to go through just because I don't want City to win the quadruple. So I'd love City to lose it, but I just do. I just think that City might put the ghosts of Anfield behind them and actually transfer some of that domestic form onto the European stage.
Yeah. Tottenham have only won one of the last 7 games away from home, with that win coming in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. Wow. To their credit, though, they've won 5 of the last 6 in the Champions League. But they certainly, I think, they're going to have their work cut out in order to secure their spot in the semi-finals of the Champions League this season, because of the fact that Harry Kane, their top scorer, is missing. Spurs are going to make things difficult for City. I think that's a guarantee, really. But I think as well, with City being at home and knowing that a job needs to be done, I think when City's applied under pressure, they are able to secure a result. I think it's usually on the flip side, when City don't have the pressure, that's when they become a bit lackadaisical and they make careless mistakes. I think this time around, Palace. I think this time around, flipped it with the pressure, the need to secure the result. I think City will do so, and I think they're going to win this game by 3-0 and completely lock out Tottenham in this one. What do you think?
I think City will win, but I think it'll be a lot closer game than that. I think it'll be 2-1 to City. Now, hold on. Yeah, 2-1 to City and Spurs go through, so...
Oh.
Yes, forgot about that.
Away goals were all.
Yeah, so I think City will win the game. I don't think they'll go through. I think Spurs will go through on away goals.
Very interesting. All right. That's done.